Hello, my loves, and welcome to the third episode of Lioness Rising podcast. So today we're going to speak about the purpose of these programs, because as you already heard in the other podcast episode, we are seeing the business and the programs, and also of course like tools as a podcast as different business entities or programs. So it is its own energetic field. It is its own energetic field playing out in the quantum field, in the Akasha. So it has its own Akashic memory. It's like a USB stick somewhere in a huge fat computer system somewhere. And we can connect it and download the information which we require. So one of the tools when I'm connecting with my business and business entities is human design and genekeys. So, for example, when I was birthing this podcast, I, of course, did the human design chart and I checked the genekeys. And first of all, Lioness Rising podcast is an emotional MG35. And the life's work of this podcast is 39.3. So the life's work in the Jinky sequence is what basically makes 70% of the whole Jinky sequence. So this is the life's work. Why is this podcast here? And the lower vibration of this Jinky is provocation. So yeah, a lot of you will probably feel provoked by the information we share here with you. And so it is provocation, dynamism, and liberation. So from the provocation, the shadow frequency, we unlock when we dive into a shadow frequency and we acknowledge it and we become aware of the shadows, we know where to send the light to. So from the provocation, when we ascend, we create a dynamic, we create a shift. So from this dynamic, this is the dynamism is the gift sequence, and from this gift sequence we are setting the intention to rise into liberation. So it is from provocation to liberation. And why do I dive so deeply into this? Because the gate 39 in my human design is also defined. And this is the gate of provocation, and a lot of people will feel provoked, and maybe I am sometimes provocative in the way I explain things, I share things, I'm pretty much transparent and I'm pretty much open throat, because everything in my front is open, like I don't have any gates defined, as well as the spleen and my crown, so that makes me basically a super reflector. And the provocation. So I definitely, like in my teenager years, or like when I was even a little bit younger than now, I was provoking people. So maybe a part of me when I was a teenager liked the resonance or like this provocation where people were feeling upset or triggered. But now, definitely, this is not my intention to provoke and make people uncomfortable. So when I was playing with this gene key and I was just tuning into these frequencies, I recognized that provocation is only shadow if it depends on the intention. So from provocation to liberation, when I was playing for myself with this gene key, I basically recognized that whatever I'm provoking, my intention is always to liberate the people from their limitations, is to liberate. The lioness is here to liberate. So we are here talking about liberation, the transformation, the breaking the chains of every limitation of this belief of illusion, but power resides outside of us. So this Jinky, when I was doing this profile for the podcast, I was deeply in love with this, or I am deeply in love with this Jinky, because it also plays so many of my own genekeys and human design gates. So the gate of provocation. A lot of you might be feeling provoked by what's going to happen in this podcast, but if you set the right intention, this will just allow to create a dynamic and inner shift in your system, so you will feel liberated from this provocation. You can decide to feel liberated. And to another part, it is the vocation. So the vocation is basically like the core wound in our Venus and prosperity, like in our pearl sequence. So the reaction is here, the vocation 49.3. So the core wound is reaction. But from reaction, we can start a revolution, and the CD is rebirth. So the vocation, the marketing of this podcast is rebirth. And this is my personal purpose in the Gene Key. So my personal Gene Key purpose is the rebirth. People hire me to go through rebirth, to go through death, rebirth transformation process. And this is what we're gonna do with this podcast, and it's like so vibrant and vital to see this Gene Keys here in front of me right now. And the purpose of this podcast is wisdom. The gift is resourcefulness. So you will be here on a whole journey with guests, sharing my transparent story of how I created this business and the Gene Keys. And the purpose is to share wisdom, the gift is to share resources, and the purpose is to share the wisdom. And of course, we are talking here as well of a universal wisdom, because it's everything energetics, and the energetic fabric is the most profound, because first, we are experiencing these changes, these shifts in the energetic and the quantum before they actually arrive into the manifestation in our 3D reality. So we're gonna play with these aspects, and this is so deeply beautiful, and everyone is invited to find out about their own human design and Gene Key profile, because it's a very magnificent tool. And for example, with my own healing gifts and the tools from Akasha Soul or Golden Healer, I literally use the tools which I have in my whole repertoire to work with a Gene Key and human design. So I see in my clients, or I see also in myself, with the shadows and the blockages where in my body graph, more or less, I live out of alignment, and what I'm allowed to shift today in order to bring into alignment. And as well, through this alignment, we are actually creating the abundance, prosperity, and wealth, luck, joy, everything what we desire in this world. So that's a very graceful tool for us. I am excited to hear your feedback about your own human design, about your Gene Key, especially for your businesses and programs. So stay tuned from the Lioness. Thank you.